Magical girls, we all know them, we all love them. At least if you clicked on this video, you probably love them. If not, you at least know of them. I would hope so. But if you don't, magical girls have been around since the 60s, inspiring young girls and women alike as a source of empowerment. Magical girls fight crime and save the world, all while looking stylish and chic. Being hyperfeminine is often seen as a weakness, but popular shows like the iconic Sailor Moon showed that leaning into your feminine side is empowering, not degrading. Unfortunately, a lot of magical girl series now are catered towards the male gaze. That's never once happened in our society. Fragmented shots of their bodies while transforming, often done naked, objectify the magical girl to titillate the male viewer, not to empower the woman viewer. Women are already so often objectified in anime. Why can't magical girls series be a safe place away from that? How did iconic shows tailored towards women, like Sailor Moon, turn into a site of male fantasies with shows like Cutie Honey and Madoka Magica? Anime series are often labeled according to their intended demographic. Magical girl series typically fall under the label of shoujo. Shoujo literally translates to girl, thus naming the series' intended audience. There's also labeled josei, which translates to woman or woman, thus labeling the intended demographic as adult woman. There, unfortunately, aren't a lot of josei magical girl series. The manga Magical Angel Creamy Mommy and the Spoiled Princess is one of the few josei magical girl series. The Spoiled Princess is a sequel to the classic shoujo series Creamy Mommy, the Magic Angel. On the flip side, there is also shonen, which translates to boy, and seinen, which translates to young man or young men. Very popular magical girl series Madoka Magica can easily be misinterpreted as a josei, considering its focus on female protagonists and adult darker themes. However, it's technically a seinen, as its intended demographic are young men. A noteworthy amount of magical girl series fall under the demographic of shonen or seinen, with otaku culture as a key contributor. Otaku culture has been a lasting butterfly effect on the magical girl genre, playing a significant role in the commodification of the genre. But what is the otaku, and how have they greatly impacted the genre? Kumiko Saito, in her frequently cited essay on the magical girl, discusses the otaku audience, the rise in male viewers within the magical girl genre. Or women, but usually men. The otaku audience has been around since the 80s. Otaku culture is typically characterized by being attracted to bisoujo characters or beautiful girl characters. Bisoujo later created moe, which means having a strong attraction and feelings for cute and young anime, manga, and/or video game characters. The term otaku is used differently in the West. It's used as a way to say that you're a die-hard fan of anime. You're more than a weeb, an average fan. You're an otaku, the top of anime fans. However, the original definition of otaku is much, much different. Otakus take original material and make their own meaning out of it, usually fetishizing the material and characters in the process. Interestingly, otaku culture ties back to postmodernism, as it's a practice in reusing images and ideas. There's no new stuff happening in otaku culture. It's all recycled ideas and images. Otaku's reuse and fetishization of characters removes the character's central meaning, and instead makes their importance based around visual cues. The otaku audience is attracted to what the characters imply. A bisoujo exposed woman implies that she's sexually available and easy. A moe young cute girl implies that she's innocent and too trusting. So when I say male gaze, in this context, I'm referring to men or women who participate in otaku culture, and I will be using it interchangeably with otaku gaze. How does this relate to magical girls? Animation studios found that creating magical girl series and characters that attract an otaku audience provide the studios profit. Doing so allows them to create and sell suggestive figures and merchandise, even if the scene is depicting does not actually happen within the series. A popular example of magical girl series targeted towards men is Cutie Honey. When the bisoujo character, Cutie Honey, fights and transforms, her clothes are often ripped off, thus interrupting the narrative rather than adding to it. Cutie Honey was so popular that it has had several spin-offs and remakes. Even though the original series debuted in the 70s, the otaku audience did not start to become noticeable to studios until the 80s. The success of Cutie Honey in a similar series that objectify women demonstrated to studios that accommodating to otaku audience rather than women provides them with profitable outcomes. So, sexualizing characters give money, not sexualizing characters and empowering women instead does not bring money. Some of the first magical girl series, such as Creamy Mommy, exemplified the belief that the magical girl's true goal becomes the eternal deferral of growth and their task to be just cute and young. Magical girl series from the 70s and 80s focused on young, cute girls who used magic to turn into teenage girls. At that time, it was a common trope for the series to end with the magical girl giving up her magic as she has realized that her true magic is her shoujo, aka her girlhood. Her adolescence is free of any obligations and expectations. She's not expected to get married, have kids, have a career, own a home. While denying adulthood is a rebellion against the expectations of women in Japanese society, focusing on the magic of childhood also highlights and encourages moe from the viewer, as young girls are now seen as the ideal. While series like Creamy Mommy are not directly explicit, they're full of sexual innuendos. I mean, like that title, Creamy Mommy. They also make use of the bank system. Bank system is the reuse of frames to help save money. This again goes back to postmodernism, just the reuse of images over and over again. Nothing new is happening here. In Magical Girl series, this technique is often used for the transformation sequence. This use of the bank system highlights the transformation of an innocent moe character into a seductive bisoujo character, thus appealing to the otaku gaze. So we got moe, and then we got bisoujo. Boom, we got both parts of the otaku gaze in one in the OG Magical Girl series, like Creamy Mommy. It is important to note that both Cutie Honey and Creamy Mommy anime were made by men. Go Nagi created Cutie Honey, and Studio Parrot, which was founded by Yuji Nunakawa, created Creamy Mommy. Representations in popular culture created by and aimed at men have depicted girls as symbolic of modernity and changing mores, as alluring but dangerous and threatening to masculinity, the family, and to the nation itself. Magical girls reject modernity and therefore become a threat to men, as she has rejected marriage and a family. In response to this threat, animation studios took advantage of the otaku culture and created magical girls who are considered bisoujo and or elicit feelings of moe for male audiences. Portraying women for the otaku gaze takes away women's threatening power toward men, thus taking away her original meaning and changing her to just a source of voyeurism and pleasure. With otaku culture in full force, how did women take back the genre? The iconic series Sailor Moon played a strong part, as well as the cult classic Revolutionary Girl Utena. Sailor Moon didn't show up until the 90s, and when it did, it revolutionized the genre. The series popularized transformation sequences and created the standard of the magical girl power system. Sailor Moon changed the transformation formula to one of accessories and makeovers rather than physical change. Naoko Takeuchi, the author of Sailor Moon, and Toei Studios made hyperfemininity a positive rather than a negative. Hyperfemininity is often seen as a weakness. It's stereotypically used as a way to visually show that a woman character is not the brightest, she's not the smartest, not a lot going on in here, she's pretty. Sailor Moon flipped this stereotype on its head and made femininity empowering. As a woman, it is so awesome to see Sailor Scouts gain power from their jewelry and dresses. And I love jewelry and dresses, and they make me feel powerful. They make me feel so confident. So to see that represented with literal magical powers, love that. Iconic. Rather than looking down the Scouts for getting dressed up to fight crime, everybody looks up to them and sees them as heroes. This is illustrated in the diegesis, as within the show, it's canon that Sailor V has video games and movies about her, illustrating that people within the universe look up to the Scouts and idolize them. Additionally, Sailor Moon viewers look up to the Scouts as well. Despite the series premiering over 30 years ago, Sailor Moon merchandise, cosplay, museums can easily be found today. Sailor Moon's use of hyperfemininity is a rebellion against a stereotype that dressed-up women are dim-witted and unsuccessful. Revolutionary Girl Utena came out about 5 years after Sailor Moon's initial release. It's known for being a deconstruction of the magical girl genre by subverting common tropes and traditional gender norms. This series, while directed by a man, focuses on women's problems and encourages change around women's oppression. It follows Utena as she tries to save Anthe, the magical girl, from a cycle of oppression and abuse. In Utena, Anthony wants to give up her magic, but the men around her force her to keep it and use it to revolutionize the world. What it means to revolutionize the world is different from character to character, but for Akio, the main antagonist, that means to reclaim his lost power and control. The series ends with Utena saving Anthony. Anthony loses her powers and Utena disappears from the world. Interestingly, this goes back to the early Magical Girl series, as those end with their magic being given up. While those series focused on elementary-aged girls, Anthony is in high school, and the series ends with her leaving the school grounds to go to the outside world, the adult world, to search for Utena. The true magic for Anthony isn't her adolescence, but rather her adulthood and freedom that brings her. The true magic for Anthony isn't her childhood, it's her adulthood, and how that represents freedom and brings her new life choices and opportunities that her childhood didn't provide her. For Anthony, adulthood means being able to choose her own path in life, whether she wants to get married or not, what career to have. Anthony's life choices were made for her during adolescence, but now as an adult, she is truly free. Anthony's magic comes from her womanhood, not her childhood. This goes against what early Magical Girl series did, because their true magic came from their childhood and they rejected adulthood. Revolutionary Girl Utena is just so iconic. Again, it's a deconstruction of the series, especially showed in the ending with Anthony's rejection of her childhood and wanting to move on to adulthood. This really helps to empower both sides of girls and young women. Utena is for older women, and it makes them feel comfortable and safe in adulthood, knowing that not everything is going to be so horrible and bleak. They have their own choices they can make, and they will still have freedom, even if that freedom is different from the freedom that they had in their childhood. The struggles Anthony and Utena face are struggles that women face all around the world. Women are often viewed as threatening, but also desirable, and men mitigate that dichotomy by trying to control women. By defying Akio, rejecting the role of the passive princess, and struggling to free Anthony from her objectified role in the duels, Utena subverts the narrative assigned to her gender, refusing heterosexual primacy and tirelessly fighting for what can only be called feminist ends. This is seen through how Utena wears the boys' school uniform rather than the girls'. That's a rejection of the male gaze and the gender binary. Also seen through how she develops a queer relationship with Anthony, a theme that is more overt in the retelling movie Adolescence of Utena. Utena and Anthony's relationship goes against the male gaze. They have labeled themselves as non-desirable for the otaku. Their visual cues are not for heterosexual romance. These actions from Utena, plus her final act of saving Anthony, is openly feminist, as it encourages non-rigidity for magical girls and women. Utena acts as a warning. It shows the danger and harm of oppressing and objectifying women. Utena's encouragement for adulthood shows that adulthood in itself is magical in a different way than childhood. On the other end, Sailor Moon's hyperfemininity appeals to the female gaze rather than the otaku gaze. The Scout's visual cues are hard to be misinterpreted as a sexual reading. Their changing jewelry and clothes are symbols of power and agency for women, not one of fetishization. And yeah, while the Utena transformations can be argued as sexual, it focuses more on the feminine side of things rather than her body. It focuses more on her nails getting painted and then immediately putting gloves on. But we know her nails are painted, and that is awesome. When my nails are painted, which they're not right now, I feel so good about myself. Utena critiques the early Bisoujo and Moe magical girls by going against gender norms and deconstructing the genre through the acceptance of adulthood and the power of queer love. This dichotomy of some series being for the otaku gaze, some being empowering for women, and a few deconstructing the genre stayed the relative norm. That is until Madoka Magica came out. Madoka Magica is a long-lasting fan favorite series, and it has left a noticeable, seemingly everlasting change on the magical girl genre. Madoka Magica changed the game. It opened the door for magical girl series to explore darker aesthetics and grittier themes. It's applauded for being a deconstruction of the magical girl genre through its critique and subversion of the typical beats the genre follows. Most importantly, the first two episodes start off as a typical magical girl anime, but the third episode ends with the main character dying by decapitation. This surprise twist of brutal, unforgiving violence is what the series is most known for. And it's also a seinen. So, yeah. Catered towards men, not women. Because women don't like violence, not at all. Not like there's a bunch of women who love the MCU and stuff. Anyways, Madoka Magica takes advantage of moe. The characters' round faces portray them as cute, young, and innocent. The character design is meant to draw affectionate feelings for male viewers, and the dark, gritty, battle action themes reference similar themes seen in popular seinen series. The success and impact the series have had has caused so many magical girl series to be made for men. Following series like Magical Girl Raising Project from 2016 and Wonder Egg Priority from 2021 draw inspiration from Madoka Magica with similar character designs and the surprise of brutal violence. Honestly, today, if there is a new Magical Girl series that is not explicitly shoujo or a sequel to a past series, I am expecting the surprise twist of like brutal violence. Like, it's not surprising anymore because everything does it. I would honestly be surprised if it was normal. I would be more surprised if it was normal. While new Magical Girl series aimed at girls and women are continuing to be put out, the popular and most accessible in terms of viewing ability and merchandise availability in the West are Magical Girls made for the otaku. Madoka Magica popularized contemporary Magical Girl series that are aimed at men rather than women. Despite the male-centered outcome of Madoka Magica's success, it's a beloved series that deserves its praise. The series' popularity illustrates that magical girls do not have to stay in the box of femininity with pink aesthetics and a more subdued violence. Audiences also like to see magical girls in brutal, action-packed situations. It's awesome to see a girl in a pretty dress in a guts and blood-filled action scene. It's awesome. Cannot deny that. Madoka Magica also has queer undertones, which ironically rejects the otaku gaze that the character designs elicit. Madoka's queerness allows the series to reach past the otaku audience and represent viewers who are part of a non-dominant, marginalized group. I don't believe the creators of Madoka Magica intended to create a ripple effect of male and otaku-centered magical girl series. Madoka Magica itself is pioneering in its feminist themes and representation despite its seinen demographic. Animation studios, unfortunately, jumped on the series' success with only profit in mind, and not any intention of art for art's sake. So, what does this mean for the future of the magical girl genre? And has it been lost to the male gaze? Magical Girl started as a source of empowerment for young girls and is now a source of pleasure and fetishization for the otaku audience. With the success of Magical Girl series catered towards men, the genre is now founded on the expectation that the adult viewer has acquired a diachronic fan perspective to fetishize both the characters and the text meaning. It's expected for the otaku viewer to gain sexual pleasure from magical girls. Contemporary magical girl series use pre-existing knowledge viewers have on the genre to create new, titillating experiences. So, Madoka Magica used pre-existing knowledge of the magical girl genre to do that surprise brutal twist of mommy dying in the third episode. However, despite magical girl series often catering towards the otaku gaze, the grown-up feminine audience make their own positive representation out of the objectification. The female spectator enters in the polyamics of negotiation, exploiting textual contradiction to put into circulation readings that draw the text into female and/or feminist orbit. Adult women viewers make their own positive representation and/or enjoyment out of shonen and seinen magical girl series. There's endless fan art of Madoka and Homura in a relationship. Woman cosplays Cutie Honey. There's online forums of women viewers praising male-targeted series, and so much more. And yeah, I don't like how often Cutie Honey's clothes are ripped off during battle. And the camera angles are clearly meant for the male gaze. But at the same time, it is so awesome to see a woman so confident in her body and herself that being exposed does not stop her from fighting crime. And yeah, it is so frustrating that more often than not, a new magical girl series is catered towards men. But I'm also glad that we're getting new magical girl content in general. If we weren't getting any at all, then that would mean there's very slim chances of actually empowering magical girl series to come out again. But we're still getting them. So I believe in the near future, there will be a new original magical girl series aimed towards women. And I'm talking like specifically anime. There are new magical girl series coming out that are targeted towards women, such as the manga Magical Girl Dandelion. The series is accessible to read in the West on the Viz app, but it's not getting the same amount of praise and promotion as other new shonen series. The cost of a subscription to Viz, a digital shoujo and josei manga library, is half as much as Shonen Jump, a digital library of shonen and seinen series. While I'm not complaining about the cheaper price, this does show that the mainstream popular audience desires male-centered stories more than women-centered stories. And this is most likely because the otaku audience brings in more revenue. So that's what the companies promote. And so that's what the mainstream audience is taught to like. You really have to go out of your way to find these series. A lot of people know about the Shonen Jump app. A lot of people do not know about the Viz app. You have to go out of your way to find magical girl shows on streaming services like Crunchyroll. Women-based audiences have been known to critique and push back against seductive shoujo merchandise. When a figure for the popular shoujo series Fruits Basket was announced with a clear line of sight of the protagonist's skirt, why would you do that to my girl? Leave her alone. Oh my god. So yeah, when that was announced, fans were obviously very angry. That's not what the show is about at all. It's not an ecchi. There's no fan service in the show. It does not just interrupt the narrative with shots like that when you're reading or watching it. So why would they make a figure like that? And fans were so angry and openly objected that they got the company to redo the design. So why do I bring this up? Shoujo and josei series don't attract otakus, and therefore that means they make less money and get less promotion. When they do try to promote to the otaku audience, like with that figure, for example, they failed. People were angry, people fought back, and they had to change it, or else they weren't going to make sales to begin with. But unfortunately, that means since we fight back against that, they just stop making things for us. I love capitalism. All of that, it causes magical girl series for women to tend to go unnoticed by the mainstream market. And it feels like the genre is slowly dying with less series and merchandise coming out. I would love to see women-targeted magical girl series to be as equally as popular as battle shonen, like One Piece. Like, can we please have a magical girl series on the front page of Crunchyroll rather than always being shonen and seinen? I would also love to see a new shoujo or josei series that goes back to the magical girl roots. Less violence, more friendship and romance. So I don't need military, brutal violence, blood and guts. No, I want something like Sailor Moon, but that's not Sailor Moon. So yeah, I want a new shoujo or josei series that is new, rather than another spin-off or sequel series of a previous magical girl series. I want something new, I want something original. Media in general is not really doing that right now, and people are tired of that. But I feel like magical girls specifically are just constantly getting either for men or just a sequel or a spin-off of a previous franchise. I want a new franchise. Magical girls are a fun escape from reality that also simultaneously represent women experience that are based in reality. They deserve the same amount of love and praise as popular shonen. The anime industry needs more women-based media. I don't think we're asking for too much here. I want a new magical girl series like Utena. I want a new magical girl series like Sailor Moon. But I just want it to have similar themes and similar tropes and similar aesthetics, but a new story. Yeah, I love magical girls, and we need more that are for women. And that's how they started, and that's how it should end. Some things can be from women and marginalized groups.